read my smallpox essay, because you guys wanted me to. Anyway, smallpox, in brackets, Valeria. Okay, when the world suffered a great wave of Valeria, smallpox. Introduction. What is smallpox? It is a very serious disease caused by the Valeria virus. It was most likely the worst disease ever. Millions of people died of it over centuries. Perhaps 5 million in the 20th century alone. Has a death rate been between 20 and 60%? So, 20 to 60% of all people who are infected with the Valeria virus will die. During this essay, I will show you why. I've used a lot of evidence to get all of this correct. And I found some very interesting information about smallpox. Smallpox is something humans can get from being in contact with other humans. Smallpox is a bit like chickenpox, but of course a lot worse. Now it has been eradicated. There is no more smallpox. Or at least there are no more numbers of cases of smallpox in the world each year. The vaccination program for smallpox has saved millions of lives. Discovery and history. Smallpox is believed to have come from Egypt or India. For at least 3,000 years ago, the earliest evidence for the disease comes from Egyptian Pharaoh Ramses V, who died in 1157 BC. His mummified remains show and tell pockmarks on his skin. Queen Elizabeth also had smallpox. Everyone was afraid she was going to die. And then her cousin Mary Scots would become ruler. And that would be the end of the Tudors. Thankfully, she recovered. A bit after that, she had her cousin executed, just in case. King William's wife died of smallpox, as well as his father, which is quite upsetting, and I guess that's why he had a very stressful life. Apparently, the first vaccine was actually for smallpox, and it came from a milkmaid. Once you have smallpox and recover from it, you cannot catch again, kind of like chickenpox. And the milkmaids used to get cowpox, which comes from cows' udders. Whenever they milked them, the milkmaids would get blister-like rashes, very similar to the smallpox rashes. But the symptoms were much milder. Then smallpox, a man called Edward Jenner got a milkmaid who had been affected by cowpox and used the pus from her blisters to make the first vaccination. Then he tested it on his gardener's son. Who was about 8 years old. When Jenner had given the boy the vaccination, they waited a couple of days and they got some actual smallpox and infected a child with it. Surprisingly, Jenner was right and the child did not get affected. So, that was the first ever vaccine. But some people didn't want to get vaccine because they didn't want to get injected with cowpox. Someone even made an art piece of cow heads emerging from people's bodies. See below. Symptoms: rashes on the torso, face, and hands, and forearms, which turn into blisters, then form into scars that leave deep, pitted scars. Also, chills, fever, discomfort, body aches, malaise, feeling weak and lethargic, and vomiting, which is unlikely, and it's only in some cases. Treatments: once you catch smallpox, you cannot get rid of it, but the treatments are managing symptoms by things like taking pain relief. It's also very important to avoid dehydration by regularly sipping water. If you catch smallpox, you can use antibiotics to reduce bacterial infection with the virus, and anesthetics, antipyretics for pain and fever. When you get smallpox, the main nutrition is baked potato, bread, and liquid foods such as gruel, broth, and milk, because people sick with smallpox need soft food. Prevention: I know you're probably wondering what you can do to avoid catching smallpox in the first place. The best method is getting vaccinated. In the past, health services have vaccinated people in the region of an outbreak to avoid the virus spreading again. As mentioned above, the vaccine was actually the first vaccination ever to be invented was called Edward Jenner. And another picture. Conclusion: smallpox is a very deadly disease and one of the only 2 diseases that have ever been eradicated. Smallpox has killed millions of people, but in the end, it only costs $100,000. To eradicate, which is a bargain, the last case was over 40 years ago on a little girl from Bangladesh. Throughout the essay, I've been talking to you about the horrible disease of smallpox. Thankfully, you'll have to be very unlucky to catch smallpox. Now seeing the naturally occurring viruses that cause it are gone. And then that's it. Bye.